So this video is going to be about Dalton's contribution to the atomic theory. This can be found, what you're looking at right now can be found on textbook page 100. And this particular contribution is one of the first that we have. There were several people who contributed to the atomic theory, which is how the atom as we know it today. This particular video is going to be about John Dalton, who was an English chemist who conducted many experiments that centered around atoms. And from these experiments, he inferred that all atoms had certain characteristics. And what he found to be true is what's listed on your screen. So this is going to be from the 1600s. So this is really early. And what he thought was true about the atom was that, first, all elements consist of atoms that cannot be divided. So the atom itself is a whole atom. There's no pieces to it. Secondly, he thought that all atoms of the same element are exactly alike and have the same mass. Atoms of different elements are different and have different masses. And third, an atom of one element can't be changed into an atom of a different element by a chemical reaction. And the last part he found to be true were that compounds are formed when atoms of more than one element combine in a specific ratio. So, what did Dalton get right? First of all, he was right that all matter is made of atoms. Everything we know of, anything that takes up space and has mass, is made of atoms. He was 100% correct about that. Secondly, compounds are formed by a combination of two or more different kinds of atoms. So if you have a hydrogen and an oxygen and they combine to create H2O, that is a compound. He was 100% correct about that. The problem is he got a lot wrong as well. So what did he get wrong? First of all, he did not have the right equipment to understand that atoms can also be divided into smaller pieces. He wasn't able to see that there's also a nucleus, protons, neutrons, and we're not really going to get into it, but there's other subatomic particles that atoms are made of. Basically, subatomic literally means smaller than the whole atom. And we do know at this point that atoms do have smaller pieces. Secondly, he was wrong that he suggested that all atoms of an element must have identical masses and size. He did not account for the fact that isotopes exist. And you will learn, if you haven't already, isotopes are variations of the same atom. For example, let's talk about oxygen. Oxygen has, in its main form, has a mass of 18, which means it has 9 protons and 9 electrons, and it likes to balance like that. But there are variations of it where the atomic mass is different because sometimes those electrons and protons are in different numbers. It's still an oxygen atom, but it has a different charge to it. So for example, it might have 17 as its atomic mass or 16, which would break down into different numbers of electrons and protons. It still acts just like an oxygen atom, but the charge is different. Dalton had no way of knowing that that was something that could exist. So he got those last two things wrong.